is how you change, but it's going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to feel like, oh, I'm being mean. That's what I'm talking about. That's why it's hard to break curses, because oftentimes people don't know what it is. They have all types of language, rhetoric, memories, assignments in their mind of what this is. And if you get used to it for a long enough time, you get familiar and you start to sympathize with it. So it's just that kind of energy. So you see how that's like a little level. Now a big level, because people who get to the point where they want to come to see me, they're overwhelmed. They have a lot of life stuff. And from what I've noticed is it mostly stems from a lot of unhealed, unresolved, unlooked at, and unvalidated trauma. And everyone's trauma is different. And it's not that, you have to live a traumatic life. It's not that at all. It's just simply there were times in your life where you were hurt and it was not addressed. So it laid a foundation. It had a layer on your life that made you act differently in other situations. But that was to protect yourself because you assumed that this would keep happening. But this fear is making it go this way. These are situations in which we're walking through and being, unfortunately, willing participants. So, being able to walk backwards, for some people it's analyzing. For other people, they're just like, I just want to change the routine. Whichever is best for you is completely fine, I've changed over the years where I used to think you gotta understand and da-da-da. Now I'm just like, if you're willing and you make peace with it, it is what it is. So you are able to see whatever this thing is. And you validate it now. You see yourself as a young child, or you see yourself, even if you weren't young at this time, you see yourself in whatever the situation is, okay? And you see the wisdom, the understanding, the perspective, the macro view you have now, and go into those situations as you are now. So you would do this in a meditative state or a channeling state. So those are for more of my practitioners who know how to channel, but let's say for most people, it'll be a meditative state, and go to yourself when you are there and protect yourself and make the changes. Sometimes it's you outside of yourself. Other times it's you coming into that life and make the changes. And you have to do that over and over and over again. So that's why a meditation practice can be healthy, even if it's just 5 minutes a day. I've actually been saying this for over 10 years, especially when I used to lead meditation groups. I've been leading meditation groups for over, now it's like 17 years. Oh my gosh, time is flying. Oh my gosh, I think it's more than 17 years. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. It's been 19 years. Wow. Where does the time go? Especially since a lot of y'all think I'm 19, so I can't beat the vampire allegations, right? I'm just kidding. But am I? I'm just kidding. Anyway, but yes, going back and going into a meditative state and seeing yourself, that is going to help you deal with the emotions that come up, okay? Now, externally, what you do is you change the habit. The habit is you already know what it's going to be, and you think you don't, but you do. The reason why you know what it's going to be is because it's whatever you're complaining about. I felt overwhelmed. I felt that I'm left behind. I felt like nothing I do works out. Da, 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 da. Okay, now go drill that down. The last time you tried to do something and it didn't work out, why? Well, when I started doing it, I started feeling so overwhelmed. Okay, was it the stuff that you were doing that was hard, or you just felt inside overwhelmed? Well, when you think about it, it wasn't that hard or impossible, but I feel like something's on me that's preventing me from moving forward. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Okay, so we know that whatever it is you can actually do, but you feel this weight on you when you try to do it. Okay, we're gonna move forward from there. So you feel this weight on you. up because you're going to burn out. So take your time. Oh, okay. Now, you mentally know it. You know what to do internally. And you know to change your actions. Now, the only thing that's going to be hard is for you to be consistent. Because after the high of this session has run off, it is now your responsibility to show up for yourself and still make these changes. And do it consistently and believe it. If the issue is the belief, that's how you train yourself. It doesn't matter if you're successful in whatever it is you're trying to do. It doesn't matter if you're moving fast. The only thing that matters is that you're breaking the sense of a lack of self-belief. That is how you get rid of the curse. So I'll be trying to break it down for y'all, okay? And I'll be trying to demystify a lot of this stuff. But that's how you do it. Rinse and repeat. Obviously, you have different things going on in your life as well. And you adjust. Most importantly, you give yourself grace. Every day you're not going to wake up and feel excited to course correct. So give yourself grace. Every day you're not going to have the energy to be like. So give yourself grace. Life happens, things you can't control. Get out of the idea you have to control everything or that things have to be perfect in order to be successful. Oftentimes, it's not knowing the moments that you don't know, but you make the best out of it, that leads you to opportunities you never saw before because you just didn't have any exposure to it, okay? So, take some more breaths here. And we're just really moving this energy. And I know that it can feel like overwhelming. But with all the clients that I've seen throughout the years of my practice, as well as the different practitioners that I've trained, it becomes really clear what it looks like. And not even just working with clients or working with practitioners, working on myself. I say it all the time, you know. I say it to my apprentices, you are your first client. And to always be a forever student, always learning, always understanding. You're going to be continuing to grow and go through the process of life throughout all of life. You know, there's no time where you know everything or you need to know everything to be successful. So just keep going, okay? And I've learned it with my own life. Oh, you know, sometimes it's kind of tough being a practitioner, and I find that over the years, I tend to do less esoteric work. The less, the better. And I think it's because sometimes I can see a shift coming in my life, and it will require, I'll say sacrifice, but really it's just a transition. And so maybe the transition like really throws me off in some area, because when you cleanse out, you make room for things to come in. Things aren't just waiting at the door, and then as you are opening it, it rushes in, and then no, you're cleansing out and things are slowly coming in. So that feeling of losing, okay, maybe in places that you've outgrown but you need to let go of, but are sentimental to you, losing that in order to be open to the next chapter that is unknown, a higher experience, a higher existence for yourself, but it's unknown. It's things you will grow to love that you don't even know about. So that feeling of loss sometimes is really hard for me. So a lot of times in my life, I will do not too much esoteric work, because I'm like, you know what? If it's gonna come, let it come. Knowing that it's coming is kind of tough mentally. And I guess that's for any practitioner. You're like, oh, I had this one transition in my life where I was like, this is weird. Why is this? You know, just little things, right? And then I sat in a channeling state, and it all came to me. And I was like, oh. was doing. I didn't know why I was being asked to do it, but I was like, okay. But I had things in my life that was like, you need to figure this out. I was like, oh, okay. For me personally, I was like, what's going on? And then once I got to where I needed to, I was like, oh, now I see it. And what I like to reflect on too is learning how to respond differently to uncertainty. You know, you don't have to freak out when things are uncertain. Just give yourself grace. I'll figure it out. You figured out everything else up until this point. A little tedious work or a little inconvenience is fine, especially if it's leading you forward. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to be perfect for yourself or in front of other people. Just take your time. Just taking some more here and releasing. Now, on a relationship level, when there's curses that are placed down in that way, it's typically from someone that you've known and that you've most likely were close to, because random people can't really, for the most part, put things on you, because there has to be an openness, and we're not going to just be open to random people. There are some people who have like boundary issues, and they're just like, you can see their energies all over the place. But for the most part, if you feel like someone put something on you, it comes in situations of family, relationships, romantic relationships, and very, very close friends. So because there's an openness there, and in order to be in relation with them, or in order to try to understand y'all's dynamics, there is an opening for your energy to be thrown off. Because oftentimes in an everyday setting, if somebody is reckless with our boundaries, we'll never have to talk to them again, or we'll be like no or whatever. But when it's someone that's close to you, you have to learn how to communicate so that you all can get in a better position. But it takes two, you know. No one person should be in control of everything, and it's communication on both ends. So what happens when the other person in communication and what they say, their actions, their consistency, and how they live their life, how you live your life, what happens when the other person is not as willing? Because it doesn't make a person evil, it just means that a lot of people are going through a lot of things in their life. So what happens when, you know, they're not willing and you have to deal with it? What happens if this is your spouse, if this is your long-term relationship, if this is your close family member, if this is your best friend, if this is your kid, if this, whomever this is, what happens then? That's where it starts to get thrown off. And the best thing that you can do is do what is best for the situation, which is, okay, we need to have this or that better, but you do it by making changes in your life. You can never force anyone to do what you want them to do. Make changes in your life. And if people are comfortable with coming with you, they'll come with you. But if they're not ready to change, they'll resist you, they'll fight you, they'll this, they'll that. That has nothing to do with you. You're not losing out on someone as you are healing yourself, or you're healing your relationship with them. They will eventually come if they're supposed to. And that's how you keep that energy in balance. That's how you release yourself from not being pulled into curses or these routines I'm talking about. But the reason why that's so hard is it feels like a betrayal. It can feel like a parent deserting their child. It can feel like a lover betraying their loved one. It can feel like a best friend just being a shitty best friend, you know. That's what it looks like if there's a component of social aspect to it. So you in a group setting, that makes it even worse, because sometimes people come together as a group and just reproduce just things that aren't effective, you know, in being whole and healthy. But the work is, okay, I want to be better for myself. I want to be better here. And that's what I need to show up conversation for the apprentices because we have our voodoo workshop coming up. But that energy that comes to you, what you put out into the universe, you receive. So if you dabble in that energy, it'll come back. So for it to be worth it for someone, it's going to be very expensive. Now people can try, they try to do stuff all the time, and of course if they were close to you, there's going to be an opening. But what you typically see in the person who put it on, their life typically goes into shambles. Like they're trying to hurt somebody else and their life goes into shambles. So it's not always that. There could be family things, there could be generational things, yes, but no matter how any of this came to you, you can break it. I'm telling you, the top way to break any curse, the top way to break any curse is slow consistency over time, over 5-10 years of just, okay, I'm just, like what I was talking about. No one has the energy to keep up with that on both sides. No one feels that they're worth it enough to do it, and on the other side, no one has the energy to keep up with it because they can't see. If you don't really pull back, they can't really see. And that's free 99. You could do that yourself, but you gotta feel that you're worth it to do it. Okay, so I've been yapping. I'm gonna spend the rest of our time just working on the healing, but I always like to explain things. So first and foremost, you understand who I am as a teacher. You understand why I am the Reiki master teacher. I'm the Reiki teacher. It's the Reiki teacher. But secondly, I just want you to understand it. This is not something that is so complex that you don't have access to it. You do. Well, babies, you've done a fantabulous job. I hope that you are feeling release, relief, and confident in your path moving forward. Let go. These things cannot define you, and you're still going to be moving forward in your life. Just be consistent with yourself. So, if no one has said it, let me go ahead and say it to you. Love you, love you, love you, but make sure you love yourself each and every day. And if you stayed for the whole session, you are now one of my babies. So